I came unannounced to the hospital to
That's right.
check on Gary and find out you're still there as well.
Right.
So I had a chance to see both of y'all. If I'm correct, y'all rooms were
Right next
to each other.
That's right.
Both recouping from what I would call true definition saving someone's life.
She did.
And so my position as mayor, what I have said is, how do I do a balance of investing in and taking care of our employees, and then creating spaces where our employees can be helpful to the community they serve too. I think on my license, if I'm correct, I'm gonna pull it out right quick. It's important. Talk about it, right? I think so.
Hard.
I got the heart.
That's a little
so
hard.
I personally, I've been an organ donor.
Yeah.
Well, I say I'm an organ donor, right?
That's right.
But I haven't donated
Right.
organ.
Right.
But you actually have. So can you speak to your actual experience of donating an organ to save someone's life and the impact that's personally had on you?
Yeah, I really, I appreciate that we get to talk about this, because for me, I didn't talk to very many people about it before the decision was made. Even Gary didn't know.
I had no idea.
But my husband knew, the doctors I was working with at UAB knew, and a couple of girlfriends that are now my friends, because they donated, I talked to them about it. But other than that, it felt like a very personal choice, very spiritual choice. And I knew that if I could help Gary, I would. And I just had a feeling that I would be the one. And so I went through the whole process, all the tests that I had to do, and so many tests. I treated it like a grade school test. I wanted to pass. And so we got to the point where I found out we were blood match, and Gary didn't know. I found out we were type match, and then Gary didn't know. And I found out I was going to do it. But I went to a birthday party with Gary at his house, and I just stared at him to make sure that he was worthy, and checked him out, and checked his energy and his spirit, and that was the final test. I knew it was what God wanted me to do, and so I appreciated the opportunity to serve.
So in that regards, how did she break it to you? How did she share the news with you that she was a match and that she was willing?
Short story here. Daji Hendricks is my transplant coordinator. And I wanted to thank her for everything she had been doing for me throughout this whole process, throughout the last 3 years, actually.
Right.
And I wanted to invite her to dinner. So my wife and I took her to dinner, and we're sitting there, just chit-chatting. And all of a sudden, I start seeing friends come into the same restaurant at the same time. And I didn't pay any attention to it. They're just coming to have dinner with us, or same place. So anyway, Geraldine reaches over and hands me this booklet, and it's got all these pictures of her, Bob, and I, and my wife. And I said, oh, that's nice, that's pretty, oh yeah. But I didn't read the last page. And I handed her the book back, and she said, well, did you read the last page? I said, no. So I read the last page. It says, I'm oh so positive that I'm a match. And I said, okay, and I put it back down. I was like thinking about going to dialysis the next morning. And not Geraldine, but Daji leans over to me, she says, what are you doing on Friday? I said, Daji, I'm going to dialysis and going home, go to bed. She says, well, why don't you stop by UAB and get a kidney transplant?
Wow.
And it hit me all the same time. I said, type O, blah, 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 blah. And I started crying like a baby. I couldn't hold it. And people from the restaurant were coming in, patting me on the back, asking me, what's wrong, what's wrong? I said, she just gave me a kidney. She just gave me a kidney. And we sat there, and I still could not believe it, because Mayor, I'm sorry.
Oh, Randall's fine.
Okay. When you sit in that chair for 3 years, 4 hours a day,
Wow.
3 times a week, and knowing that your chances of dying are more than your chances of living a long period. And then all of a sudden, an earth angel comes up and says, I'm going to give you a kidney. I mean, just think about that for a minute. Somebody who's a mother, who works in the community, who has a job, and does all these other things, she just reached out and said, I'm gonna give you a kidney. I had no idea that she was in the running for that. And I found all this out in one night, one fell swoop, and it was done. So, you know, my message to everybody out there, and everybody that I meet, I tell them, go to your doctor at least once a year and get your kidneys checked. And it's a simple blood test that you can do, because kidney disease has no signs.
Right.
And it doesn't happen to you, I mean, it doesn't get you until it's too late. You either got to do dialysis or you got to get a kidney transplant. So why put yourself in that position by not getting checked?
Right.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, both of those are powerful testimonies. I do want to come back to you for a second, because you've been working for the city of Birmingham for quite some time, and we are in a position to be, when we say we want to be a progressive city, we say we want to be a progressive administration, but then we need policies in place so people can feel it, not just our residents but our employees too. Tell me, what do you think about the new policy around the ability for a city employee to be an organ donor and not be penalized as it relates to time off to recover?
I think that I'm so grateful. When I first heard that this policy was in place, I busted out crying, because I had to make a lot of decisions. When you go in and they tell you, you know, make sure that you got your family handled and all your affairs handled, including work. So I came to work to find out what the leave policies were. And at that time, before this was even created, if I had to take more time to be off, I would have maybe gone into a leave without pay status or something like that. So I asked my husband about it. I didn't tell Gary, didn't tell Bobby. Bobby Knight's his wife. And my husband was like, we'll take care of it. Whatever it is, we'll take care of it. But it turned out I was able to come back, things work out. But for the next person, they might not be able to make a decision to give, because they're not in a position to be able to have enough leave to give. And so just knowing how supportive the city was, seeing you actually come to the hospital and check on me, all of the staff that's been here for me, I wouldn't have been able to rest, relax, or recuperate in the same way if it wasn't for city support. And this new policy is not only going to change lives, I know it's going to save lives.
Well, that's strong. So I understand there's some connection here, right? That you have now been defined as an Earth Angel, so your new name is Earth Angel.
Earth Angel, that's right.
I understand that you got ties to Ohio. And
that's right.
You work in professionally athlete in Ohio, the state of Ohio.
That's right.
Got 2 spouses.
I got a Bob. He's got a Bobby.
What else we got?
Well, we were both born in Ohio, so you got that. We both cheer for the Bengals and Ohio State, well, and Alabama now. And Alabama, okay. But so we have all of those things in common. And then, you know, one of the main things that people ask me is, oh, you're going to donate to this person. There's ranges of donating from family to altruistic. The true altruistic giver is when you give to somebody you don't know, never met, just give. And so he's not a member of my family. And a lot of people go, oh, you're not, you know, you're going to do this, but you have 2 sons. What if your sons need a kidney? And the way that my faith works, I believe that God wouldn't have called me to serve in this way and then let my children suffer later. And so in that way, we feel like this is our family now. And all those synergies were already there. And the first time my kids ever went over Gary Burley and Bobby Knight's house, we were outside and they went inside and came out with juice, went inside, came out with snacks. I was like, how are you going in and out of their house and knowing where to go? And they were like, this feels like our Nana Papa's house. We just feel like we're home. And that's the experience that we've had with them. And so now I do feel like we're family. And we're definitely connected. So we're family now.
That's great. Anything else you want to share, good sir?
The only thing I want to share is to tell the people, go get checked. You know, you're doing yourself and your family a favor. And like I say, there's no signs, so don't think about waiting until you feel something. When you feel something, it's too late.
That's
so
right.
Go get checked.
Well, thank you both for inspiring us. Thank you for your willingness. Thank you for leading the way. on us pushing us, changing our policy for all of our employees to be birth angels.
Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
I think on behalf of everybody that ever will donate or ever will receive, I want to thank you for doing this and for recognizing this need and for being one of the first, if not only cities, you know, in the state of Alabama that's going to have this. And I think the way Birmingham goes, so goes the state. So there's probably going to be other municipalities that are going to stop and look at their HR policies because of this. And that's going to make a big difference in changing lives. So I'm so grateful that you're my boss and that you're the mayor and that you're in this position to do this. So thank you so much.
Bob, love you, man.
I love you back.
Appreciate it, brother.